Chris Hedges was on Democracy Now! Recently, and he is giving a warning to everyone on the left. And I think everybody needs to listen to this. You need to hear what he's saying here. Chris Hedges, he's an author, he's a journalist. He also hosts his own YouTube channel called Chris Hedges Report there. He has traveled to the Middle East multiple times. He's been on the show a couple of times as well. Guys, just pay attention to what Chris Hedges is saying. I think that is a big warning for everyone. We got to start paying attention.
Now, explain your headline and what your concerns are. The martyrdom of Charlie Kirk, about the horrific murder of Kirk.
Well, you saw that his murder weaponized even before the suspect was apprehended, and the quote-unquote radical left being blamed. So in every conflict that I covered, martyrs were kind of the lifeblood of violent movements. You hold up the martyr. And any shirking from purging the society through violence of those individuals or groups who are blamed for killing, the martyr is a betrayal of the martyr. And we saw that happen instantly. That's how Kirk's casket goes on Air Force Two. He's awarded the Presidential, Medal of Freedom. The flags are half. I mean, and that's only accelerated. He comes out of the Christian nationalist movement, which I wrote about a decade ago in my book, American Fascist, The Christian Right and the War in America. It's a movement I know very well. I'm also a seminary graduate. And I think we've reached a very frightening turning point. I think that we've already seen an assault on civil liberties, on institutions, universities, the media that are tasked with maintaining an open society. That will now be accelerated. I don't take any of this rhetoric lightly. I look at it as three phases. First, we saw.
Before we get into the three phases, I want to point this out and make this very clear. When I told you guys, like after the death of Charlie Kirk, here are the things that I think are going to happen. And I told you to get ready. We're already starting to see some of those things take shape. Number one, I told you an increase in surveillance, which would make sense considering Palantir has their hands in the Trump administration at this point in time. I believe they also endorse Kamala Harris. So there you go. Both parties support increasing surveillance. The surveillance, increase of the police state. I warned you about censorship. And I told you that they would try to come in and crush organizations. And I mean, it really didn't take long for some of this to already start to take shape. What people have to really understand is that for those who say, well, Charlie Kirk is gone and they're happy about it because of the things that he said, anyone else can be put in that spot. With the situation with Luigi and Mangione, one of the things I warned people about there too is I said, well, yeah, Brian Thompson is dead, and Luigi, who allegedly, I still say allegedly, that case to me is just weird still too. Luigi allegedly killed Brian Thompson, but I tried to warn people back then that Brian Thompson will be replaced with another CEO who will continue to deny claims for people under United Healthcare, thus continuing medical debt and death because they can't afford medical treatment. It was really interesting to me how quickly Ben Shapiro said, I'll take up that mantle and just hop into that seat at Turning Point USA. I'll take that spot that Charlie had. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a part of Turning Point. I'm not conservative. I'm not a Democrat. But it seems a little weird to me that Ben Shapiro couldn't even wait, like, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks. I don't know. He jumped into that spot very quickly, very quickly. People will be replaced. Now, knowing what I just told you, Listen to what Chris Hedges says here, the 3 phases.
Those who protested the genocide attacked as anti-Semites, although a significant percentage, 20-30%, were probably Jewish. That was a way to shut down free speech. Then we saw undocumented workers being targeted and demonized as criminals and all this kind of stuff as a way to build Trump's version of the brown shirts, this rogue paramilitary group, ICE, with all of these detention centers. I mean, the budget is now larger than all federal law enforcement agencies combined, ICE. These detention centers are not going to be exclusively for undocumented workers. And now we're seeing the radical left demonized to shut down individuals and organizations that dissent from the rapid consolidation of this police state or authoritarian state.
Pause. Listen up. Party for Socialism and Liberation, Code Pink. I'm just naming some of the few that I know of that they'll probably go after. Party for Socialism and Liberation, also known as PSL. Code Pink. Shout out to Medea Benjamin. Those women do the damn thing. They've been anti-war and fighting against these wars for a long time. And they're older women. Medea, if she wanted to, could just retire and say, I'm just going to, chill for a bit. But she still goes out there to fight the good fight. Communist Party of the USA. They could even go after DSA, to be honest with you, because some of the rhetoric in the DSA handbook is also what they would call anti-Israel, right? So the point is this. When these type of events or acts take place, they are going to come and crack down on these, what they call the radical left organizations. They're going to come for them in some way, shape, or form. When you look at a group like PSL, for example, a lot of the pro-Palestinian protests have been organized by the Party for Socialism and Liberation and Answer Coalition, and they're connected there, right? They have sent buses to cities to pick people up, to take them to these protests in DC. There may be a crackdown there. The point that I'm trying to make is, even if it's an issue that you're not passionate about, they are going to try to find a way to crack down on protesting. That's more censorship. They're already trying to crack down on speech. They're already trying to get into that. And that's both sides, by the way, because here's the thing. I want to tell you a little secret, okay? For those who are not aware, the Democratic Party leadership, the DNC, the Dem establishment, they are also against Party for Socialism and Liberation, Code Pink. They're against them too. Hell, a lot of them against DSA too. And DSA is on the lighter side of the other ones I just mentioned to you. They're against people to their left as well. Both parties support that. So you are going to see an increase here in the crackdowns. And this is what Chris Hedges tries to warn people about. Like, when you organize, you have to organize in such a way that there is going to be some light at the end of the tunnel. And what has happened here, what has happened to Charlie Kirk, and I got to tell you guys, I've never seen anything like this before in my lifetime. There's a number of people that have been killed in the United States, big names, etc. But I have never seen the type of crackdown that is coming right now until today. So the Trump administration, they are going to take this as their opportunity. That's it. Here's our opportunity to go crack down on those radical leftists, because the majority of them are anti-Israel, pro-Gaza. But there's also people on the right who have become anti-Israel. And the death of Charlie Kirk, in a way, it just kind of, I had questions, because like I said, we started to see this coalition form, where there were even some libertarians, people on the right that said, yo, stop sending our money to Israel. Listen, I'm not okay with them killing these kids. There was a coalition that was forming there. The Epstein files. We just saw Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ro Khanna, and Thomas Massie come together, people from different political ideologies, on the Epstein issue to release the files. It saddened me to look on X and to see Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, we cannot work with the left. This is all recent. Thomas Massie said, we can't work with the left. Right after the killing of Charlie Kirk, now all of a sudden that coalition is starting to fall apart. And that's exactly what the establishment wants. That's exactly what the billionaire class wants. So they try to find ways to break us up. Let's continue on.
I want to go back to President Trump. This is the president speaking in Morristown, New Jersey, on the tarmac Sunday before boarding Air Force One.
Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left, that's not the right.
So that's President Trump before there was any evidence revealed. After Utah Governor Cox says we have to be very clear this is the work of one person. I mean, for example, when Timothy McVeigh blew up the Oklahoma City building and killed over 160 people, people didn't say they're going to go after white Christian men. But what about what Trump, what Stephen Miller is doing and saying they're going after leftist organizations, they're talking about flag burning?
Yeah. When was the last flag burning?
Let me pause here for just a second. Oh, hold on. Can we bring it back, Eric? I think I went to the wrong video. Pause here for just a second. She mentioned Timothy McVeigh and the Oklahoma City bombing. What else was different during that time? There was no social media. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have, you see what I'm getting at? Okay. All right. Let's go back in here. Let me make sure we get to the right spot here.
To shut down individuals and organizations that dissent from
revealed after Utah Governor Cox says we have to be very clear this is the work of one person. I mean, for example, when Timothy McVeigh blew up the Oklahoma City building and killed over 160 people, people didn't say they're going to go after white Christian men. But what about what Trump, what Stephen Miller is doing and saying they're going after leftist organizations, they're talking about flag burning?
Yeah. When was the last flag burning? I don't remember one. Well, it's all fictitious. They've already started going after these organizations, but this has given them a green light to lift all constraints. And we've seen, a bill was the Florida, what was his name, Best or Most, I don't remember this, in the House, where groups that supposedly provide material support to terrorism can have their citizenship revoked. Remember Tom Cotton, right after 9/11, wanted to prosecute or go after mainstream media organizations, AP, CNN, the New York Times, for using pictures, graphic pictures from October 7th and from the genocide. So the process has already begun. Universities such as Columbia have already capitulated. And CBS is about to be turned over to a rabid Zionist and Bari Weiss, if everything goes through. We've already seen that assault, but now in the name of the martyr, Charlie Kirk, I think that they will carry out activities that will essentially in the end, and look to Miller, because Stephen Miller's the one who's kind of organizing all of this, just as he has with the assault on undocumented workers and on immigrants. They will begin to shut down organizations. I'm sure they're not very happy with democracy now. They essentially intend to create a closed society, a police state, an authoritarian state under the rubric, with the kind of ideology of what I call Christian fascism. I mean, I label these Christian nationalists as heretics.
What did I tell you guys? They are going to go forward to shut down organizations. And in particular, organizations that are pro-Gaza, pro-Palestine, pro-liberation, right? And I'm very, very concerned about this. So you guys, I say like under pressure. Again, I just want to show you J.D. Vance was at Charlie Kirk's. Now, this is Charlie Kirk's podcast. And J.D. Vance, listen to what he said on Charlie Kirk's podcast.
And while our side of the aisle certainly has its crazies, it is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left. And while our side of the aisle certainly has its crazies, it is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left.
Is that true? First of all, this is the vice president of the United States who looks like he kind of just took over Charlie Kirk's podcast, at least for this segment. It came on to basically keep the right divided from the left. Everybody wake up and pay attention to what's going on. We have seen bipartisanship from the right and the left to release the Epstein files. We have seen bipartisanship between people on the right and people on the left to stop giving money to Israel. Even some of the people that I know have said that they are pro-Israel on the right still said stop giving money and weapons to Israel. Does everybody see what they are trying to do? So they have to break that up. JD Vance is over here on Charlie Kirk's podcast to send that message to Charlie Kirk's audience and say, you got to go after those radical lefties. We all got to come together and fight against them, so that you're not paying attention to the fact that the United Nations just declared that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, so that you're not paying attention to the fact that Israel is now operating a ground offensive in Gaza, so that you're not paying attention to the fact that they send the police after everybody else except for Jeffrey Epstein's friends. If there was ever a time for people to come together, now is that time. And they're going to try to do everything that they can to keep us apart. Everything that they can to keep us apart. That's why you see JD Vance making this speech. And you can even see the article here that came from the New York Times. The White House plans broad crackdown on liberal groups. Some of the highest ranking officials in the federal government use Charlie Kirk's podcast, guest hosted by Vice President JD Vance, to lay out their plans. And this is how they are going to get their base in line again. Whoop! Thought you had a coalition. Just remember, guys, those leftists are crazy. But if you sit down and you talk to people on the left, you'll find out that when it comes to certain issues, you might actually have things in common with us. I think that when it comes to the right and the left, I think that both sides, particularly people here in the US, people want a quality of living. People want good health care. People want to be able to take care of their families. People want to be able to put food on the table, but they don't want you to talk about those things. And as of recent, more and more people don't want money going to Israel. More and more people want transparency when it comes to the Epstein files. More and more people are having these issues with the establishment and the billionaires. And so this is how they get everybody back in line once again. They feel the pressure, the immense pressure. And as long as they keep telling you that this person is against you, you're less likely to talk to them. That's how it works. Now, I got to be clear about this, because I say this and people try to take it for what it is. I got to be clear about this. That don't mean that you can just go around disrespecting people. There has to be respect on both sides. So everybody hear me with that loud and clear. There has to be respect on both sides. But the data that JD Vance presented wasn't even true, because here's the data. And by the way, the DOJ is burying this information because they don't want you to see it. The data is clear. Far-right extremists are responsible for most extremist deaths. Again, I didn't make this report, but this is the data. You can see it here from 2013 to 2022. Blue was left-wing. Gold is domestic Islamic terrorist. And red is right-wing extremists. Incidents, killings. That's the data. But JD Vance knows that most people are not going to look this up. Most people are not going to research it. Some people don't have time to research it. So they just say anything. And they just want you to believe it. And a lot of people will. And I'm here to tell you, don't fall for it. Now, putting that aside for just a second, this is exactly why I continue to say, at the end of the day, the one thing we all have in common is that we're not billionaires. We're not at the top. We're not the ones that are exploiting people. We're not the ones that are saying, oh, let's give all these weapons and stuff to Israel. Let them do whatever they want to do. We're not. We're not. But they know that if they keep everybody divided, red team and blue team, there will never, ever be a class movement in this country if that continues to happen. And they know that, and that's exactly what they want to prevent. Now, you think about teams, hell, even sports teams, these guys come together. You guys know this, right? For all the people who played sports, or those of you who watch sports, yeah, they despise each other on the basketball court. They despise each other on the football field. The Red Sox and the Yankees are not friends in the ballpark when they play each other. But off the field, a lot of these guys are friends. People were calling out Beyonce and Jay-Z for having dinner with Ivanka Trump and Jared. Don't you see the game that's being played? Beyonce endorsed Kamala Harris, but she's friends with Ivanka and Jared because they're in the same club that you're not in. Hell, I know I'm not. It's all theater. So they tell you, you need to divide yourselves. At the same time, they're not dividing themselves. You don't see them splitting from people who are on the right because they have the same class interest. Rich people tend to do that. Poor people don't. So never forget that. And pay attention to what is happening, folks, because they really are trying. They are like, hell no, we got to keep them against each other so that they don't realize who their common enemy is. And unfortunately, a lot of people fall for it. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.